Hey guys, I wanted to take some time and talk about closure and validation. These are things that have been, huge in my life and really important, and things that I feel like I've had enough personal experience on in order for me to share my experience. And I think I have discussed like validation multiple times and feeling this need from other people to give me the things that I'm looking for in myself, or validation, meaning like affirming to me that like I am this person. And the thing is that everyone's perspective is so different, and people can only see you from the view that they're seeing you from, like their lifestyle, their backgrounds, their culture. And there's like a saying that sometimes you're going to be someone's villain in their story. And I've clearly done some wrong in my life, and I'm sure that's, I am some villains in people's story. And with that's what comes in, with validation comes in closure. And closure in is still something that has to be done for yourself, because getting validation for the closure that you want this person to say or give you is most likely not going to happen. People can only meet you where they're willing to meet themselves. And everyone's personal experience is different. And if you're like me and you're searching for answers, and you want, someone who you feel like has wronged you come into your life and be like, I'm so sorry for the things that I've done. They can't do that unless they've met that with themselves. I know for specific, like talking about getting sober, especially the first year, the amount of guilt and shame and just the weight of the wrath that I have just unfolded in the last however long, what was it? I guess like 12 years, was immense. And that feeling just hurt so tremendously. And the people that I hurt, I just like, it was really the first time that I could validate that I had hurt people, that I could accept that I hurt people, and see that I've like, I made such a wide effect on people's lives, and not so much positively. Even though I think I knew innately inside me that that's where I was meant to be, was to share my experience in a more positive manner. But I wasn't giving that experience. I was so angry and mad that I was just like spewing my, my troubled blood on other people, my hurt blood, my, trauma on other people. And it wasn't until I got sober that I was able to really feel that stuff, and really able to apologize and give some people closure, and the closure that they ultimately deserved. But just because somebody gets sober, this is why I think sometimes I don't go to meetings, and I kind of more stick to myself. And just because somebody gets sober, gets clean, doesn't mean that they're still able or willing to meet those feelings for themselves. And I think they're harder to avoid, clearly, but still doesn't mean that they're able to do that. I think that there's ways, and I've watched it, people are able to revert their feelings. And social media, it's so easy nowadays to just ignore those things. But I was at least thankful that I was able to sit with that and be able to really realize, like I've hurt some people, and able to give some people closure that I felt like were willing to like at least hear. I think, AA, and a lot of the times when they're telling you about making amends, like you really only reach out to people who you feel like are going to be willing to hear. And I did reach out to some people, and they weren't so willing as well. But I've also, those who I just felt like weren't so willing to hear, I just didn't, and that's when you kind of you have to do it for yourself, where you write a letter to them, and just something that they're never really going to receive. And that's where, it's nice when we get the closure that we ultimately deserve from people. And it's a beautiful thing. And I wish that, and I hope that for everybody. And I hope that, at least the closure that I've been able to give people was enough for them to heal those parts of themselves that, I ultimately tore apart for them, or, harmed them in any way, that they're able to like heal and understand, like, I was just a hurt person hurting you. But if that's not what you're getting, you know, it's hard. I think I've spent most of my life not getting closure from, you know, ultimately the people that I feel like I've deserved, or I deserve to get closure from. Ultimately, you know, if those of you have heard my story, I grew up in a foster home, and I don't speak to my foster parents anymore, basically since I was like 18. And I've never gotten closure from them. And I know that it's something that I'll never get closure for, and I've had to give it to myself. And I'm so thankful that I was able to do that and finally find that for myself. Because whether it's the real story of what's going on with them, or it doesn't matter, because it's what I'll tell myself. It's what's helped me to move forward. And, you know, that closure is just simple, that it's hard for people, again, it's hard for people to meet you outside of where they're willing to meet themselves. And emotions, I just find it so intriguing that, like, you know, I'm happy that mental health is such an important aspect currently, but it's still just so interesting. Like, I have feared more from the way that things will make me feel than the actual action of doing something. And, you know, like, sometimes feelings are just so immense, you feel like you're gonna die, you're gonna pop. And to feel those things and be able to move forward to somebody like, hey, I hurt you, like, I accepted some things and I did some things and I was wrong in this behavior, is so difficult. I can't tell you how many people I've come across in my life where, like, just have such a hard time just, like, apologizing. Like, people have a very strange way of apologizing, and it's not like, hey, I'm sorry, I messed up. It's like, I know that I was wrong, and I just, you know, like, have to finagle around it. And that's unfortunate. So that's been able to be the closure that I've given myself, for me to be able to move on from that experience. But it's still, like, interesting and funny how everything happens for a reason. And in my current situation, I'm trying to find forgiveness in someone who treated me very similarly to the way that they treated me. So it's like, it was almost, I guess, the universe kind of helping me to push to find that forgiveness, because I viewed them in such an evil way. Like, I think I just viewed them as, like, demons somewhat. And just realizing, you know, they're human too, and separating. And this is where, you know, in Buddhism, it's such a beautiful thing, because it tells you, you know, to separate the actions from the actor. Because, you know, I firmly believe that we're all based off love, and sometimes it's hard when people weren't taught love in the innate way that you feel how you're supposed to accept and receive love. Especially when you're just diverting from that because of what you're being taught. And some of us continue to follow that path, and others, you know, like, I believe in myself that, you know, I was like, I don't feel like that's the way, and this is the way for me. And I'm very thankful that I did follow that way. So, you know, validate your own experience, validate your own closure. But I do hope that you guys are at least getting the closure that you deserve, or you feel like, you know, those people in your life, or persons are confronting those feelings and behaviors for themselves. That's all I wanted to share. I hope everyone's just having a great weekend. Happy February, and I'll be seeing more of you guys soon. Namaste.